Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Hakaduck3, and welcome to Tech Saturday, episode 16, where today we're going to be building a $1,200 Steam machine. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, for the CPU, I went with the Intel Core i5-4430. This is a quad-core CPU clocked at 3 GHz. This CPU uses the LGA 1150 socket, same as the i7. There is no hyper-threading on this CPU, sadly, and it has a TDP of 84 watts. So why did I go with this CPU? Well, I like this CPU because it's a great CPU for gaming. Just like the FX 6300, this CPU is perfect for gaming. It shouldn't bottleneck the GPU I chose that much, and for $184.29, this CPU should not disappoint. Now for the motherboard. So for the motherboard, I apologize if I pronounced the name wrong. It's because it's spelled weird. I went with the ASRock Fatality Z87 Killer. This is a ATX motherboard. It uses the LGA 1150 socket. It uses the Intel Z87 chipset. It has 4 240-pin DIMM slots. It uses DDR3 memory, which gets maxed out at 32 gigabytes and has speeds ranging from 1066 megahertz all the way up to 2800 megahertz. It does have RAID support. It does have both 3-way Crossfire and 3-way SLI support. It has 6 SATA 6 GB ports, and yes, it has 2, count them 2, USB 3.0 headers. Oh man, I always need to take a deep breath after that one. Whew. So, why did I go with this motherboard? Well, I like that it has a lot of upgradability to it. So down the road, if you want to put an i7 in this machine, you can do that. If you want 32 gigabytes of RAM in this machine, you can add that. Or if you want to add more drives to this machine, you can do that. And for $119.99, this motherboard should last you a while. Next up, the RAM. So for the RAM, I went with 2 sticks of Kingston XMP Blue Red series. So both sticks are 4 gigabytes, so 4 plus 4 equals 8, so 8 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, and this RAM is clocked at 1600 megahertz. So why did I go with this RAM? Well, I trust Kingston. I had Kingston RAM in my last computer before it died on me, but don't worry, it didn't die because of the RAM. It died from overheating because it had a really bad CPU cooler on it. But I have to say I trust Kingston. I'll probably use Kingston RAM in my own build that I hope to be building soon. But for $69.99, this RAM should not disappoint. Now for the hard drive. So for the hard drive, I went with the Western Digital Caviar Black. This is a 2TB drive that spins at 7200 RPM, and it has a 3.5-inch form factor. So why did I go with this drive again? Well, I was going to go with a 3TB drive, but if I did, then I would have gone over the budget of this build. So I thought 2TB, isn't bad. That gives people lots of room to work with. And down the road, if you run out of storage, then you can just add another one of these drives, and you should be good to go there. Plus, Western Digital is pretty reliable, so no worries there. And for $148.98, this drive should last you a while. And now everyone's favorite part of a gaming build video, the GPU. And I have to say, I'm really proud about this one. So for the GPU, I went with, wait for it, the Gigabyte GeForce GTX 780. And yes, I said 780. So this card has 3 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory. It has a core clock of 954 megahertz. It supports 3-way SLI. It has 1 DVI-I dual-link port, 1 DVI-D dual-link port, 1 display port, and 1 HDMI port. So I don't think I need to say much about this GPU other than ultra freaking settings. Yeah, I just said that. And for $479.99, yeah, this card should be able to handle any game you throw at it. Alright, we are nearing the end of this build, ladies and gentlemen. So next up, the power supply. So for the power supply, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I went with the Xeon AXP 850K14XE. It has a really weird name to it. So this is a 850 watt power supply. It is a semi-modular power supply, and it is 80 plus bronze certified. So why do I go with this power supply? Well, I trust Xeon, and I hope I'm pronouncing their name right. They make some pretty reliable power supplies, and you guys know me. I wouldn't pick a power supply that I didn't trust initially. But for $104.99, this power supply should get the job done for you. And last but surely not least, the case. So for the case, I went with the NZXT Phantom 410. So this is a ATX mid-tower case. The color of this case is black, but you can get it in white, and I think you can also get it in red if I'm not mistaken. It also has 2 front panel USB 3.0 ports. It also has 3 external 5.25 inch bays, 6 3.5 inch bays, and the dimensions are 20.94 inches in length, 8.46 inches in width, and 20.31 inches in depth. So why did I go with this case? Well, one thing I really like about NZXT cases is they're cheap and they are reliable. I also like the design of this case. It's got an Alienware look to it, even though this machine is a lot better than an Alienware PC. But for $74.99, this case should not disappoint. And that is the build. So the estimated wattage that this machine will be using is 434 watts, so that 850 watt power supply should last you a while, and the total cost of this machine is $1,183.22. So I managed to stay a little bit under the budget of $1,200. How, I don't know, but if you would like to get this build, a link to the build will be in the description below, and if you missed any of my previous Steam Machine builds, a link to that playlist will also be in the description below. And if you haven't seen my previous video, click the box to the left to go watch it, or if you're watching this video on a mobile device, click the link in the description below to go check it out. And today's Bible verse of the video comes from Galatians chapter 6 verses 9 through 10. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. And that is it, and I will see you guys and gals on Wednesday for Ghost Mosh Pit Live. This is your boy HogDeck3, and I'm out. God bless.